This figure is not new. In fact, it's one we've looked at before, technically a couple of times. At its core, this is Legacy Cyberverse Universe Tarn, which was a repaint of regular Legacy Tarn that was basically just using darker colors, came with the Bludgeon Retool sword, and you could only get it in that Versus 4-pack that everyone bought just to get Squeeze Play. And maybe also Prime Cliff Jumper. I mean, Cliff's honestly the reason I bought that 4-pack anyway. I still tried to give everyone in the 4-pack a shot, but eventually decided I was just going to keep Cliff Jumper. Then, Toy Hacks just had to go and release a sticker set that converts the Tarn nobody wanted into Stalker. So of course I ended up keeping Tarn and getting those Reprolabels. Something I hadn't realized when initially looking at this as Tarn is just how much you can play around with things to alter the vehicle mode. Obviously the twin-barreled cannon on top is modular, but you can also pop those mini stick guns, these things, off the backpack, or in this case the tank front, and slap them into other available ports, as you can see here. This makes it a whole lot easier to approximate something that looks a little bit like Stalker's missile truck mode, and that's super cool. Without the stickers, this probably wouldn't look like much, but with them, I kinda dig it. Spoilers for a few minutes from now, but this isn't the figure or set's strongest mode, but that's fine. I really like how much the Reprolabels managed to change the vibe of this whole thing. Having most of the burgundy stickers on the outer edges along the treads, with tiny splash up top, like right here, that works well. And of course, I love the sharp, massive, much brighter blue, maybe almost turquoise, that goes up the center. Plus the gold right up front, which is more of a copper color in the G1 toy, but I think gold works better with this particular sticker color scheme. There are even some little green windows tucked in the middle there, and stickers to approximate the missile accessories that would get stuck to the sides. Again, this doesn't look like Stalker's vehicle mode, but it does go a long way to evoking its bright blue core and pinkish tread segments. Then you look at the black and white obvious missile homage wrapped around the more cylindrical cannon, and I don't know, I feel like this pulls the whole thing together. As I said, there's a lot of variability to Tarn's accessories, and when combined with the stickers, it gives you several ways to try and recapture that classic Stalker vehicle mode look. My preferred configuration is to slap the missile in the center towards the front with the other cannon up top on the turret, and the smaller gun things pegged into the side of what will become the legs. So this. A more accurate approach would probably be to follow the Toy Hacks photos and put the cannon towards the front end and the missile surrogate up top, but I don't like how the boxy back end of this cannon prevents it from pegging in flush. It kind of wants to move to the side if you try and peg it all the way down. It's not great. But really my one gripe with all this is the fact that these little gunlets use clips instead of pegs. So while they do sit and stay in whatever ports you place them, they're super easy to accidentally pop out. Like, that just takes no effort at all. But you can put them in down here if you want, and that also looks fine, but I, as I've said, prefer to put them up here. I really don't like how they look in vehicle mode for this particular Stalker homage if I keep them in the default position, and if they stay on the backpack, which is what this becomes, they get in the way of the robot mode, so yeah. I suppose I could just take them off and leave them in my parts box, but I do like how they look in the spot on vehicle mode. It kind of bulks things out a little bit. Without them, it just looks, I don't know, kind of sparse. Oh, and you can peg the sword somewhere. I tend to not bother with it in vehicle mode, or robot mode for that matter, but if there's a free port, you could probably peg it in there. Since this is just Legacy Tarn in different colors with a bunch of stickers slapped on, it's the same size as it's always been. Voyager-ish. I don't really know what else to say about it, so yeah, there you go. Alright, couple quick things before we do the transformation. First off, gotta plug the Patreon and Ko-fi, links to both at the end of the video as well as down in the description. As always, support is greatly appreciated, but then also typical YouTube stuff of like, comment, share, subscribe goes a long way. Also, forgot to cover blast effect compatibility, but this is Legacy Tarn, so you've got the same blast effect bits here. You can plug them into the cannons, or in this case, the end of the missile, which looks silly. And you can plug them into these tiny little gun pod thingies. Transformation time. I'm going to try to leave these on. I don't think I'm going to need to take them off, but they might pop off if I'm not careful, so we'll see what happens. First thing, going to unplug the missile. I'm going to rotate these down just so I don't accidentally bump them. And then untab this. This is all kind of normal for the regular figure. Now what I prefer to do is I peg the missile back in here, so that way I can keep the orientation right, because I just don't want to screw it up. I rotate this around, unplug this gun now, and then rotate this 180 degrees for now, and we'll see why when we get to the robot mode. But yeah, this is going to go off to the side, this is going to go off to the side, and now it's the usual Tarn transformation. So we're going to unplug the feet from up here, and rotate this back. And with that rotated back, we can untab the arms from the sides of the legs, like so, and then going to transform the arms so they take up less space. So this piece flips up, this tread section folds in and around and tabs into the other tread, and then this folds in to close up. This swings in and that piece rotates around, and then this rotates around like that. And that is one arm. And the other arm is the same deal. I'm going to untab, untab, flip around, and I appreciate how these stickers here are situated in just the right place that you don't seem to have to worry about them getting peeled up during transformation, even though it's on a hinge. That's actually pretty cool. And shift, flip, rotate, and now we've got arms. And I'll just open up the fingers, why not? Now, going to, we'll do the legs. So we're going to shift, and I mean shift, not pull, because it's like a hook tab that holds these pieces together. So what I end up doing is kind of shifting things around. Let me zoom in so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. I shift things so that this slides out rather than trying to pull it out, because I feel like that will break this tab eventually. It may not, but I have worries, so that's why I do that. And now this burgundy piece will shift forward, and it kind of clicks into place. It depends on the leg. One snaps pretty securely, the other one is more of a thunk, but whatever. So there we go, and then just fold the feet, and I like to rotate these back very slightly to give them just kind of like a slightly swept back look. And that is the lower body entirely finished. Now we're going to unpeg this piece here. There's this tiny little peg. There we go. There's this tiny little peg here that pegs into the butt. So when I go into vehicle mode, I kind of shift this down and peg it in, and then push this down the rest of the way, and that keeps that secure. But shift that up, not too much, because you still want room back here. And with that shifted back, now we can rotate the tread sections. Oh, gotta keep that shifted back a little more. Rotate the tread sections when I get them past this piece here. And these will rotate around. And as those rotate around, you also want to bring this down, because you're going to need room for everything else happening here. So bring this down a bit, and this will rotate down more, and they will kind of thunk into place. Then they slide in just a little bit, but they do slide in. Then this piece comes down and will tab into the treads. The head can flip up, and this piece also can rotate around. And now for the head, there's this tab here, this little slot back here. You want to swing this forward so that that tab sits in there, and it'll be nice and flush. Then you can bring this up and in, and this will tab into the treads, similar to how the chest section did. And finally, just give the head a 180 degree rotation. I don't think you need to rotate the head for the transformation particularly, but I do it because I think it gives the this piece a little more space to sit flush. And now, to really cap things off, bring this piece back in, and this will just peg in to the center of the back right here. And then I like to angle this down to give him that more typical Stalker over-the-shoulder cannon or missile thing. And this can just peg into his hand. And we'll just peg the sword back here to have it here, and we'll talk about that later. But yeah, there we go. There is, I guess, Legacy Stalker, which is just Cyberverse Universe Tarn with a very impressive Reprolabel conversion set. There's a tiny bit of variation of the transformation if you opt to move or do away with the laser sticks, but really it's just Legacy Tarn all the way down. That said, with a little bit of going off script on the dual cannons, you can get a pretty decent Stalker-esque gear replacement going. Now this is just so good. Toy Hacks made it clear that you can use the sticker set on regular Legacy Tarn, and included photos for the curious, but I think the Cyberverse rendition suits the stickers best. So much about this robot mode design isn't Stalker, but when you add the stickers, it works so well! This is like Stalker if he had become something more than a mere footnote in a Chris McFeely video. This Stalker has something to say, with violence. Sure, that's kind of silly and edgy, but I mean, look at this thing. There's no denying it looks awesome. And once again, there's a surprisingly faithful attention to detail on just where the different colors go. Liberty's up the wazoo, of course, but the feet and shins are blue, the waist and thighs are much darker. It's more traditionally like black on the original toy, but they are darker. The arms are red and black, and the chest almost lines up with the G1 toy. It's truly impressive stuff. But even ignoring how well the stickers managed to homage the original figure, this just looks incredible. I adore how the overall darker, almost 2000s era gray-brown shooter tones of gray, red, and really dark blue contrast with these much brighter hits of turquoise. And also that gold in the chest. Okay, I need to move on because at this point I'm just going to start salivating, but to sum it all up, dang. Dang. I don't think the accessories are quite as important to the robot mode as they are to the vehicle, but they still complement things nicely here. With the right amount of angling and using that little turret section accessory, you can get the missile pointing over his shoulder as you see, and this is why I don't leave the pew-pew sticks on the backpack. And the other cannon makes for a great rifle, or bazooka, or whatever. And if you spin this around so that the peg is on the, I guess, bottom, and then peg it up here, it allows you to bring that missile even more forward, which, I mean, it works for like a attack mode, I guess, but I don't like how that sticks up over the head, so we're just gonna move that back. The way I handle the tertiary shooters means that they can stay plugged into the calves for robot mode, and they're just short enough that they can angle straight down without scraping the table. But I still like to angle them back a little bit because I think it's cooler. Naturally, you're free to play with the placement as much as you want. This is just my preferred loadout. As for the sword, well, it's nice that there are stickers to fancy up all the purple plastic, but I'm just not really feeling it as an accessory in general. Not for this. It's fine. It can peg into the backpack or go in his hand, but I'm pretty sure this is going to live in the parts box once this video is done. Just like the robot mode in general, the head is very much Tarn with stickers. But also, like I've already said, the stickers do a solid job of making you forget this is Tarn. The shape isn't quite right, but he does have a head crest that's similar to the original toy, and the now green eyes and gold faceplate more or less cap things off. I've removed everything for the sake of the articulation bit, but yeah, this is exactly the same as Legacy Tarn, or Cyberverse Universe Tarn, or Legacy Bludgeon. The head is on a ball joint, you get a little bit of side-to-side tilt, a decent amount of up and down, and you get the rotation. You can also use that transformation joint to tilt up a bit further. The shoulders can go all the way around and can go out to 90. They're doing the hot rod trigger-happy shoulder thing, which I do get the complaints, but it's also the kind of thing where I feel like you can work around it just fine. It doesn't look the best, but like you still get the same overall range, so whatever. You get bicep rotation, but you also additionally get this joint here for the transformation, but I feel like that could potentially have its uses. There is a slightly over 90-degree elbow bend, but the arm can also bend backwards this way because of the transformation. There are wrist swivels, and the fingers can open and close. The waist rotates, does kind of like this bit is clashing into the front skirts, so you can't necessarily go all the way around without unpegging this, but I feel like that's plenty of range. And then the hips can go forward to slightly past 90, back to slightly past 90, out, which is weirdly stiff and awkward to use, but can go out to just about 90. And this piece likes to stay. The way they designed it is a little weird, but it works. You get thigh rotation, which goes pretty much all the way around. Well, almost. Things kind of knock into the bits up here, but almost all the way around. Knee can bend past 90, and if you unclip that transformation joint, you can go all the way in. And then the ankles are ankles. You get side-to-side tilt, so straight, bent in, not super far in, but far enough. And then you also get lots of forward and backward. So just like the other Legacy versions that just don't have stickers on them, good range of motion. Size-wise is more the same. This is Tarn do like the tank do. Seriously though, it's, again, the same figure as before, so it's the same size as before. A sort of tall-ish Voyager. He just looks leagues cooler now. The Legacy Tarn mold is a good figure in its own right, no matter which version you end up with, but I can't overstate how happy this sticker set makes me. As someone who's always loved the look and colors of Stalker, but can't justify the expense on a G1 toy that at least comes with the missile, this has been a very worthwhile project. It's kind of miraculous how one of the weakest figures of that 4-pack is suddenly my favorite thanks to a bunch of die-cut adhesive back pieces of, what, like plasticky paper? Papery plastic? I'm trying to come up with a fancy way of describing stickers. This is also a pretty darn successful total conversion kit, and you don't even need to buy upgrade parts or anything like that. It's just stickers. It does kind of make me wish we'd get another Legacy Tarn repaint into an official Stalker, though. I feel like that could be very cool. I don't know that it'd be better than this, but I'd still be interested in seeing it. The figure is great, and the stickers make a somewhat meh repaint into something new and incredible. And if you feel the same, I'd highly recommend getting the sticker set as well. Though for some reason the aftermarket prices on Cyberverse Tarn have shot up over the past several months, so that might be a problem if you don't already have this figure. And yes, you can use the stickers on the regular Legacy Tarn, but as I said before, I just think they look best on this color scheme. It feels like this is the figure, specifically this painted version of this figure, is what those stickers were truly designed for. Anyway, that's enough about what I think. What do you all think of, I guess, the sticker set? Because at this point, this is like the third use of the Legacy Tarn mold we've gotten. Whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. Thank you everybody for watching, and I'll be back to say more words about toys at you next time.